Hello to all you lovely flossy friends who live in my phone, and welcome to Flosstube number 12. Today is Wednesday the 15th of October. I'm a little ahead of where I would normally be for a mid-month recap, but I'm making the most of the opportunity to do some filming today, because if I don't do it today it'll be Monday at least before I get a chance. So we're just gonna grab it and go with it. For those of you who are new here, welcome. I don't know how you find me, but I'm delighted that you have. My name is Pam. I go by the name of Ditzy Daisy Crafts here on Flosstube and also on Instagram. And as I said, I'm very happy you found me. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Welcome home. It's lovely to have you here. You know how much it means to me, those of you who come back, especially when there's so many amazing Flosstubers out there. That if you spend time with me, if you choose to spend time with me, I just love it, thank you. I hope you find something that you like today. I've got some stitching to share with you, of course. If you do and you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe so that you get an alert when I post again. And if you want to, you can make like the Disco Diva Neat Award and ring my bell so that you get proper pop-up notifications, not just that I appear on your YouTube feed. So where are we? Let's have a think. You'll have to excuse me if I'm not very with it today. I am being absolutely beaten up by this virus. I cannot shift it. I cannot shift the headaches and the earaches and the scratchy throat and just feeling peely-wally. We talked about that last time, peely-wally. But I'm trying to push on. Life doesn't stop. So if my brain is even more disconnected from my mouth today, I apologise in advance, but I will do my best. I do, of course, have notes because you know me, I always have notes. So what have I got for you today? I have got 11 stitchy things to show you. I've got 3 starts and finishes, 4 starts and 4 whips / sals to share with you. Not as much as I maybe normally would have halfway through the month. But yeah, considering I haven't been stitching anywhere near as much, I have still managed every day, but it's not been near the output I would have liked to have been achieving. It's still okay, and I'm happy enough with what I've got to show you, and hopefully you'll be happy with it too. So shall we just jump right in rather than faffing around? So the first one I have got to show you is this little cutie. This is the Autumn Owl. This is a freebie from Shannon Christine. And I've just stitched on, remember that 14 count Rustico Ada that I was talking about last time and the time before, where I said I'm going to use every little scrap? I have used every little scrap. Now, I have to say, I had planned on having this fully finished and something else I'm going to show you in just a second as well, and life just got in the way. It was meant to be fully finished today, both of them were, but the day has just got away from Ailey and I. We've got lots and lots of stuff going on today, lots of stuff that we have to do today. She's got finishes that she needs. She's actually working on something at the moment, trying to get it finished so that we can get it FFO'd and wrapped as a present for tomorrow. Yeah, that's the kind of deadlines we're working at. It's all just been a bit crazy the last few days. So I am behind schedule. I had intended, because let's face it, it's only Tootie. But I think it's really cute. As I said, it's 14 count Rustico, and I have just pulled random floss that I had. The only thing I did do is these, there's a flower, where are we? There's 3 of them, is it together? 4. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. They were originally white, but the white just disappeared, or kind of creamy white. So I made them orange with yellow centres rather than cream with yellow centres. So that's that little toosie. As I said, that was a freebie. I found it, I'm trying to think, was it on Shannon Christine's Facebook page or was it on Pinterest? I can't remember, but it is definitely a freebie. I did check beforehand. So that's finish number 1. Finish number 2 is the other one that I had hoped to get finished for you. I should actually have had something behind that. There we go, that's a bit better. FFO'd today as well, but never got to it. So that is my version of the Primrose Cottage Give Thanks. Now I'll try and see if I can figure out how to put both on the screen. There we go. So you can see that I've moved the small white pumpkin that's in the corner there. I've moved it down in front of the big pumpkin, and I've just messed around with where I've put the little blackbirds, because I have something I want to finish this on top of. So as you can see, this is on a 14 count white perforated paper that I have just smooshed with ink. Now I've got a couple of different colours of ink on there. I can put that behind you, see it better. Kind of like there's a warmer brown and a cooler brown, and that is Distressed Oxide ink, a Tim Holtz one that I have just smooshed on it, smoosh being the technical term, just to get the colour that I wanted. It's worked okay. I did, after I inked it, I left it for a couple of days to make sure it was completely dry, and I did a test piece and then stitched on it with some white thread to see if there was any transference onto the floss or anything like that, and it was absolutely fine. The only thing I would say is, as I was stitching, possibly the DMC, some of it's like dulled. I don't know if it's just been a little bit of the pigment from the ink coming off onto my fingers. I'm not sure. I don't know if you notice there's little bits here of where I've been holding on to it, where there has been a little bit of lift on the ink, but not a huge amount. I cut this big bit thinking I'll do it in the middle, so I've got lots of space to hold around the side, and then automatically went into the corner. So next time I will have that FFO'd and I will just show it to you quickly. As I said, it's 14 count, hand inked, perforated paper, and I have just stitched it in whatever fancy floss I've had lying around that looked like it would do and that I had the right kind of length. So I couldn't tell you what the flosses are off the top of my head, but I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. So that is finish number 2. And finish number 3 is something I'm ever so slightly happy with this, and it was actually really quick, much quicker than I thought it would, and that's this one. If you were here on my last floss tube, you know that I was still very much feeling the autumn stitchy vibe. I hadn't hit Halloween yet, which for somebody who has said that she could stitch Halloween the whole way through, the whole year through, it was kind of an odd feeling, and it just hadn't clicked. So I thought I'm going to do one and try and encourage the stitchy spooky bug to come and hit me. So I did this one, and I'm so happy with it. This is a Jardin Prive design, simply called Halloween as it comes. It is stitched on a 32 count even weave from Coffee Craft, so it's an unnamed one. It's coming across a lot grayer there. It's actually much more purple in real life. It's just, you can see it, there's a little bit of the purple picking up here, but it's much more purple in real life. And I have stitched that in the called for DMCs, apart from one, the witch's hat, which I have done in a darker purple than the one charted. I've done it in 29, which is a lovely deep rich purple, just so it stands out a little bit better. The sample piece is shown on a natural kind of taupe background, so that the purple pops lovely, but I wanted a bit of a darker purple on this one. I love how the white pops on this. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's almost luminous, but this was a really, really lovely stitch. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm delighted to have it finished. I haven't decided how I'm going to FFO it yet. I've got another Halloween piece to do on the same fabric, plus potentially another 4 little bits from offcuts, because yeah, make the most of every bit. So I'm going to wait until I have them both finished and then consider them together for my finishing plans. I quite like the idea of having them framed, if I'm honest. I'm really happy with that one. I know it's only little, and it's not a mass amount. Oh, there is one more thing I was going to say, just as a complete aside. When I was stitching this, I've got a spitter here and one down here, And on the chart, they have 6 legs. And over my years, I've met spiders with various numbers of legs, as I'm sure we all have. I'm not a huge spider fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I did have a pet one called Petunia who lived in a previous house who only had 7 legs. But yeah, I just thought, no, 6 legs, that's not right. So I put in an extra pair of legs so that they now have 8 legs. And it amazed me how the extra pair of legs moved those spiders from spoopy to spooky. What a difference it made. All of a sudden they came a little bit more, I'm not so keen on spiders. But yeah, I'm delighted with that finish. Really, really delighted. So that is my finishes, my starts and finishes. All 3 were started and finished within this month. What else have I got for you? New starts. So again, first one, you'll not be surprised by this one because I show one every time you see me, and that's the November La Finestra del Tempo from Crocette GoGo. I don't actually know how far through this one I am. I'm probably about halfway. That is, where are we? See if I can get it without glare into focus. Is that focusing? There. So this one here. So I've still got a building to do. There's a cloud above it. I still need to finish these nuts and the umbrella, and then I've got some leaves there and a basket of leaves and a rake. Somebody's been raking up leaves. So that, come on, focus. There we go, I'll hide behind it. That's that one. So yeah, of course I'm a happy Pammy because if you've been here before, you know I love me a trash panda, and a trash panda wearing a red and white spotty scarf and woolly hat is a very, very cute trash panda indeed. So that's that one. I've just been poodling along, plugging away in that one, just as and when the moon takes me. Got another couple of weeks to get that finished, so no rush for that one. Next start I've got to show you is another Crocette GoGo. I'm going to show you the chart on this one because it's a freebie and you can get it on the Crocette GoGo website. And this is the autumn house. Now there's a set of 5 of these. There's spring, summer, autumn, winter, and there's a Christmas one as well. And I thought, oh, I've got a board that would go really nicely on, you know, with magnets, and I'll just swap them out seasonally. I'll start stitching the autumn one. Because if you've been here before, you know I'm doing a seasonal stitch, the Pigeon Coop Quebec seasons, the 4 seasons there. So I'm trying to do a bit each season, and I'm trying to stop myself, sorry, am I shaking there? Rushing ahead with that because I'm enjoying it so much. I'm kind of like trying to, no, you've got 3 months to stitch each season. Don't do it all in the first kind of day or 2. So I thought I'd start these. It's not a huge chart. 80 by 71, and they're all kind of much and such around that size. They're not the same size, but they're pretty close. But for something that size, there does seem to be a huge amount of stitching in it. Yeah, it's slow progress. So I'm doing it here on an offcut I've got of 28 count even weave. This is Vigart light taupe. I've got a fair bit of this kicking around in offcuts and bits. So that's it on there. So you'll see that I haven't made a huge amount of progress. I made a bit, but not a huge amount. I'm stitching on it, but I don't seem to be getting very far. Maybe it's because I'm stitching slower, because I'm not, you know, firing on all cylinders. I'm possibly firing on half cylinders. That might be something to do with it, I don't know. But I am just doing it in whatever floss I have lying around. These are all fancy threads, fancy flosses so far, although they don't look it. The roof has got 2 colours in, although there's a bit of fluff on there, so it kind of like looks like shingles. This here is, it's called Curry. I think it might be Weeks Dye Works. Could be Classic Colour Works, but I think it's Weeks. And it doesn't really have any discernible variegation, and I suppose there's a little bit there when you see it. It actually picks up a little bit better on the camera than it does in real life. But I'm just going to carry on just making it up as I go along, with things that kind of vaguely match. Yeah. So my thought had been, oh right, okay, we'll try and do one of these a quarter, so that I can get them up. But I'm thinking, given how slow that one is stitching up so far, I'm not really going to get it up in autumn. The Christmas one is the biggest of them all. Again, stitch intensive. And then of course if I'm stitching the Christmas one, that cuts down the amount of time I've got to do the winter one. So chances are they're not going to be up in the season that I finish them. So with that in mind, if I don't get that finished this autumn, because it's not going to be going up anywhere, it can sit in my seasonal whips until, you know, maybe August next year, when I can crack on and get it finished and up. It might get finished. It's not going to get finished this month, maybe next month it might, but we'll see. So the next start I have got, it's a tootty little bit picture. It's this one. It's one of the Mill Hill kits. See, brain, mouth, no connection. It's the, oh no, what's it called? I can't even read back to front. Let's have a look on here. It doesn't. Painted pumpkins. I can't read the fancy cursive back to front. So let's see. There we go. We've not got any reflection there. So there's a series of these pumpkins. This one is called Glowing Pumpkin. And I'm kind of stitching this with Laura from Stitching by the Show. She's got her birthday pumpkin sal, anything pumpkin, throughout October. So that's kind of a nice blingy one for her, to celebrate her another spin around the sun. So this is where I'm at. I've got all the stitching in the DMC. This is on a 14 count perforated paper, a black one. It came as a kit. It's all in the kit. So this is the fancy floss. It's not fancy floss, I'm telling you lies. This is the floss that was provided in the kit. So there's just a black and an orange. I have to say, stitching the black on the black was a challenge. It wasn't fun. It looks so easy when you say, oh yeah, there's loads, you know, you can see the holes clearly, but stitching black over black and trying to follow the swirly pattern was a challenge. It was beautiful. Before I put the orange in, it looked like a beautiful burnt Devore velvet, you know, that kind of embossed tone on tone velvet that you get. It was lovely. But so that's all the normal stitching to go in. The rest of it is a lot of beading. There's well over 400 beads to go on it for something little. These things take a fair amount of time. I find stitching on perforated paper slow at the best of the times, and it's not the most fun for, like, you know, trying to weave in your ends and that kind of thing. But hopefully by the end of the month, when I'm back, or into the start of next month, doing an October recap, hopefully I will have that finished. So my next new start, in fact it's my last new start, is this one here. It's Fall on the Farm. This is number 4, which is called Pick Your Own. It's a little girl who's just picked her apple off the tree. She's standing there holding it, and then you've got baskets of apples in the back of the truck. Now Ailey chose this one randomly. I'd said to Bruce last month, pick a number between 1 and 9, and he had picked, I think it was number 2, the old schoolhouse. So I gave Ailey the choice of the next number, and she picked this, which was very fortuitous because she loves a red truck, a flatbed truck. She just loves them. Piled with pumpkins, piled with Christmas trees, equal opportunities, piled with Labradors is her favourite. So this was her choice by fluke. So I had hummed and hawed, and I thought, shall I do one with pumpkins again for Laura's pumpkin birthday sal? And I thought, no, I've got plenty of other pumpkin things on the go. There's pumpkins on the Halloween one. You know, I've done one that's the Give Thanks pumpkins. There's the beaded one. I've got plenty of beadworks, plenty of pumpkins to celebrate Laura's birthday. So I will honour the one that Ailey chose. So this is it, and this is where I am at. So I'm actually over 60% on this one. It's stitched up much quicker than the last one I did, the schoolhouse one. This one is stitched up much quicker. Stitching it on 28 count Lagana light taupe. There's been a few bits in this video. In the Called For Fancy flosses, which are all classic Colourworks. And it's a lovely little stitch. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So from here I've got the fence to do at the bottom. There's another couple of apple trees here, small ones. I've got a crow or a blackbird here and the sun, and then the border around the outside. So smaller, more bitty areas of stitching than the tree and the truck have been. But I'm hoping that this one will be finished by the end of the month. I'm not finishing these as I go. I'm going to wait till I've got all 9 finished. But yes, I'm really happy with that one. I like it very much. So yeah, I'm still kind of doing the autumn. I've not hit Halloween hard yet. House still isn't decorated for Halloween. It's still got all the autumn decorations up. Mostly because I haven't had the energy and Ailey hasn't had the time to deal with them. So we're just stuck with it. It's not doing anybody any harm. But hopefully Halloween, over the next couple of weeks, I will have more Halloweeny bits to show you. I've certainly got Halloweeny bits kind of like in my mind that I want to stitch. So that is my start. So that now just leaves us with whips. And 3 out of the 4 whips I've got to show you are stitch alongs. So the first one is this one. This is My Big Toe Time to Stitch the Serenity-ish Prayer. There we go, that's the name of it down there. And I'm stitching this for the Catkin and Lily Anything Stitchy stitch along that is being run on her Patreon, of which I am a member. I've spoken about this one every month since I started it in July. And I'm quite happy with it. I'm enjoying tootling along. It's a 7-part stitch along because most people are stitching the Primrose Cottage stitching rules, which has 7 distinct parts. So that's where you get the 7 parts from. My part has only got the 6. Got the 2 borders and then the 4 lines of text. So I've got a little bit of time in hand. But I've got 4 out of those 6 done. So this month I just put in the 3rd row of text there, which went in quickly and easily. Yeah, it was an easy stitch. But yeah, it's just scary to believe that was started in July, which seems 2 minutes ago, and I'm 2/3 of the way there. That's a little bit disconcerting. Just, you know, how fast time is going past. So the next one I have got for you is my Emerald City stitch along, run by Jen Stitchy Corner, and I'll put all the information about it below. She set us up a Facebook page for this one as well. It's this chart here. It's the Owl Forest Embroideries Emerald City stitch along. This was run as a stitch along by Emerald Forest Embroideries themselves back in 2018, 2019 I think. So the chart is set up already in 11 sections that you stitch. It's a free chart, absolutely free. Owl Forest Embroidery has some fabulous free charts on their website, which is incredibly generous of them, and this is one of them. It just, a chart that size and that intricate that they're just giving us for free is just phenomenal. So I'm up to date. I am up to date, and I kind of like could quite happily have actually started on part 4. I was just so busy celebrating being up to date, but I have finished part 3, so I'm up to date. So part 1 was down here. No, I'm telling you, like, because I do this every time, looking at kind of like trying to see myself. So part 1 was down here, from the house through the tornado, Dorothy and Toto. Part 2 was Goodwich at the North, the scarecrow and the corn and this crow up here, and part 3 has been Tin Man, the lion, and I'm trying to think, yes, the Yellow Brick Road. I haven't done all these motifs that are just kind of dotted around. My intention is to do these with beads when I get to the end, so that the beads aren't sitting in the work as I am working on the normal stitching of it. So that will come back, and I'll do all that in a oneer, which is going to be a job and a half, trying to do it all, but it'll be worth it. So perhaps maybe I should actually try and get ahead of the curve a little bit, so I've got a little bit of time at the end to come back and finish all that. So yeah, so that there will be patches and kind of like empty spaces in my stitch that are not there in the stitch along. So let me show you where we were at. Now, the last time I showed this, I was showing you my adaptation of the scarecrow, which is to match the scarecrow from the film, and I've got the Tin Man was in as well. He's done in late effects, and he's very metallic. I think I made a comment the last time that he had a spa day where he had a WD-40 bath and then a good chrome polish, although it's not coming across on the camera quite how sparkly it is. So that was where I was the last time you saw this. So this, since then, I've added the Cowardly Lion and this Yellow Brick Road. Now, the body of the Cowardly Lion is stitched in an overdyed. Can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I'm quite happy with how the variegations kind of, it could have been worse, you know. It's almost like it's shaded around his chest and going up around where his hip would be, so I'm quite happy with that. This here is stitched in Whisper. I thought, oh, let's give him a nice big fluffy mane, and I followed the instructions, which is just one strand, stitch as normal, and it's not very fluffy. I'm a bit disappointed with how it's turned out. It's a bit fuzzy, you know. I can absolutely feel that it's fuzzy, but it's not quite as lion's mane as I had hoped it would be. But that's where I'm at. I'm stitching this on a 28 count. Who is it? Let me look at my notes. Picture This Plus Jade. I was trying to think of the dyer. So yes, it's Picture This Plus Jade. It's nowhere near as mottled as it's coming across there. In real life, it's nowhere near as splotchy looking as that. It's 28 count because with putting the beads on it, I want to have enough space for them. The 28, the Mill Hill beads that fit nicely in a 28 count. 32 would maybe be a bit nippet and a bit kind of like beads getting shoved out of the way a little bit. But that's where I'm at. So today's Wednesday the 15th. Part 4 started this past Monday the 13th. So I'm feeling quite virtuous and polishing my halo that I've done a reasonable job in getting that far. So my third stitch along is start along more than stitch along, because there are no firm sections, dates, nothing. It's much more relaxed and informal, and that is the Gathering Acorns Cottage Garden samplings that I am doing with Jason, Martina and Tommy. And all of us are going in different directions with this, doing our own take on this little guy here. So last time I showed you this, I just started it, and I had decided that my goal was I'm going to put 1,000 stitches in so I get a good start and it looks like a squirrel, and I did, but I wasn't happy with it. I am using the called for threads flosses, yes, which are mostly DMC, apart from there was one which was the called for was Gentle Arts maple syrup, which I started using. I'm stitching it. This is a 28 count maple, I think it is. It's a fabric flare 28 count even weave. It's a limited edition one for Lakeside Needlecraft. It's their exclusive fabric. And I loved the kind of autumnal mottling of it. So I have started, the only other things I changed, I did change these kind of grey colours down here to different ones. I wasn't convinced the ones that were called for were quite green. But the last time you saw this, when I had my 1023 stitches in, I had been doing this bit, this part of his head, and this kind of band across the acorn in that maple syrup, the gathering art, and it was just so dark. You couldn't see the difference between his paw and the acorn, and you know that this part, the top 2/3 of the acorn, just blended into one. This was really dark, and I just was not loving it. So I looked at it, and I thought, no. So I frogged it all. There was a few hundred stitches to come out. And I have, in its place, I have used Classic Colourworks Chocolate Mousse. So who doesn't love a bit of chocolate mousse? It's maybe a little bit lighter than I would have possibly have gone for, but it's what I had and it worked. So this part of his head, you can see the variegation. I've stitched that in diagonal lines, so it's kind of, actually I probably should have done the diagonal lines going the other way. I've kind of done them the length of his head. This far maybe would have gone the other direction, but I didn't want it vertical or horizontal. I wanted it diagonal to represent, you know, that the direction his head was facing. And then I have started the fill-in. Now I have, since you last saw it, finished going all the way around his back. There was a little bit in some of the lighter colour, but I've taken all the dark round and I've done his feet. So now the rest of this bit and here have to be filled in this colour, and I've put all the patterning in so that this chocolate mousse, it's all fill in down here. So for the body of the squirrel now, it is just pure fill in. I did change the pattern slightly in here. The dark is as called for. This white was originally in this called for, this colour here, which is like a light, almost taupey brown, which stands out beautifully there compared to the chocolate mousse. But when I started stitching down here, and those little flowers, for want of a better word, little motifs were in that colour, they kind of disappeared into the chocolate mousse a little bit. So I decided to go paler. And then when you're further away, when you're seeing it, you can still see that kind of pattern without it being too overwhelming. So that is him. Still haven't decided what colours I'm going to do for his tail. I don't like the charted tail. I don't like the yellow that runs through it. These are quite grey browns. And that yellow just, no, it doesn't work for me. And I don't like how you've got this dark bit at the top. It looks like he's been sitting next to a tin of dark brown paint and he's dunked the end of his tail in it. And that's just not working for me. So when you look at this picture, that, see, there's only that one fancy floss, the rest are DMCs. And it doesn't look like the same colours I'm stitching in. It looks completely different. Maybe it's the photography. But anyway, so he is now sitting, I can't remember off the top of my head, I didn't make a note of it, but I think he's sitting about 1600 stitches. He might get more work done on him this month, a little bit of that fill in. I need to spend some time looking at that tail and deciding how to do it. Yeah, decisions. Don't do decisions. So that leaves me with one last thing to show you. This is a work in progress. It's something I started last month, started in September. And that's here. It's Modern Folk Embroidery, Real Comfort. It's a Jane Austen quote. It's a lovely chart, but I'm not doing all of it. I'm not doing anything of the alphabet. I'm stopping at the village there, and I'm not putting in the Jane Austen at the top. So I'm just going to have the village, and then this overgrown tree with the quote inside it. And I'm not doing the border either. So that is the plan. And this is where I'm at. I'm stitching this on 16 count. This is an Ada 16 count Picture This Plus Rubius because I like the colour of it. This is to go in our sunroom, which has got reds in it. I've already kind of like figured out where it's going to go. And I like the white. It looks like it's snowy. So last time you saw this, it had the base of the tree, as you see it there. The church was done, and I had just started that building. Yeah, probably about there. Just started that building. So I have finished this side. That looks like it goes up there, but I think it's just the way the fabric's in. And then I have done all of this side of the village. So that is the village now complete. So I'm ready to come up and start doing, I imagine I will try and do the outline first, that border, and hope it meets up. There's so much potential for it not. And then I will get that quoted. So I'm stitching that, as I said, it's a 16 count Picture This Plus in Rubius in white sulky, which I love stitching with sulky, especially when it comes to white. White DMC is not a relaxing fun stitch to get those stitches to look nice. So I'm really happy with the sulky in that. The coverage is absolutely fine for like the main bits of those buildings. Excuse me, I've got a scratchy throat again. So yeah, that's all my stitching for today. As I say, normally it would be 2 or 3 days later in the month where I would be coming to you with this. But I didn't want to leave it until the start of next week, because then it's not even 2 weeks until the end of the month. Excuse me. So yeah, it's still 11 pieces. It's still a fair bit. So yeah, that's where we're at. Plans, I've kind of, as we've gone along, I've been speaking about each piece. I haven't really hit many of my other works in progress this month. They're feeling quite summery. I'm just not feeling them at the moment. So they're sitting nestled up. They might go into hibernation mode for a little while. I do have Halloween stitches that I want to start. Very, very naughty, because I have lots of Halloween whips that I should be paying them more attention rather than starting new sparkly shiny things. But they're new sparkly shiny things that I can't resist. Was it Oscar Wilde that said, "I can resist everything apart from temptation"? That's me. I'm very, very easily tempted. As I said before, I have the breaking strain of a Kit Kat. So yeah, for the second half of this month, my stitch-alongs are done. Well, the Serenity-ish prayer one is done. I don't have to worry about that till next month. I'll try and get a head start on part 4 of Emerald City and try and get some more fill-in done with gathering acorns. I haven't got a set goal in mind for that, for, you know, I must do X amount of stitches every month. I suppose 1,000 stitches a month would be a good place to aim. I've done a lot this month because I had all that frogging and then all the replacing of it. I've no idea if it's 1,000. I could work it out. But yeah, I did wonder if I'll just interrupt myself here to say thank you all to those lovely, 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 lovely people who reached out with incredibly kind and supportive comments after I was telling you about my experience with the Harvest Moon hangout and how it had absolutely not gone to plan, that I'd felt really quite shy and awkward and wasn't confident enough to go into the stitching rooms and chat and that kind of thing. As I said, I think that was the start of this. This was the night before I really got hit with this. So, I mean, that's been, what's that, about 3 weeks now? 4 weeks? Yeah, I think it'll be 4 weeks this weekend. And I still feel horrendous. So I absolutely wasn't on my best form, but I really struggled. And it was amazing how many people reached out to me, either left comments or sent me messages. seeing how they felt exactly the same. It was intimidating, not in a nasty way that people were trying to make it intimidating, but just it's out with their comfort zones. Yeah, I'm sad that other people feel the way that I did, because it wasn't fun. I just felt absolutely wretched. But at the same time, it's nice to not be alone in feeling like that. As I've said, I can chat away to you here. It's a completely different scenario. I can chat to people in real life if I'm standing in a queue. Lord knows I've not spent enough time in Disney parks with Eli in the last few years. But I can, you know, make conversation in a queue, whoever I'm sitting next to, you're standing next to, with that. I've got no problem with that. I'm quite sociable and outgoing. I'm an extroverted introvert is possibly how I would say it. But for some reason doing it through Zoom or in chat rooms and that, it's just a very different situation. And I received some really, really lovely messages. People saying that they would do one-to-one Zooms with me, build my confidence up. Yeah, people are just so lovely. Thank you. And I mean that most sincerely, because it's something I was beating myself up about big time, and was really disappointed about as well, because I've been so excited about it. So yes, so where this is coming back to is that I am going to give the Jingle Ball a go. And I am going to try and be braver about the stitchy tables. I don't know that I'm going to have that huge amount of opportunity, because I was looking at the schedule, and the way that it's happening is most of the designer meet and greets, they're kind of like in blocks on the Saturday and Sunday, and that works out for pretty much the entire evening here. So pretty much by the time we'd be finishing dinner through to like 1 o'clock in the morning is all it would be designer meet and greets, which I'm really, really keen to watch. And they're not being recorded this time, so I can't go back and watch them and catch up. It's watch them live or you miss it. So the Saturday and the Sunday evenings are not going to be hugely sociable chatty time in the stitchy rooms for me. I might choose to forgo some of the meet and greets. I don't know yet. I know there's some that I'm really, really keen to see. And of course that's kind of, I know it isn't international, it's the whole world, but the majority of attendees seem to be from the States. So you would be coming out of those meets and greets with the evening ahead of you to chat, which is absolutely bedtime where I am. You know, I'd be sitting up till 1 o'clock in the morning watching the meets and greets as it is. So I wouldn't be going into the chat rooms at that time of day, which really leaves the Friday evenings and mornings, afternoons, UK time, where I would imagine most people on the other side of the pond are still dreaming sweetly. So yeah, so I might not get as much opportunity in there, because obviously we've got things going on at weekends and that kind of thing. Friday night we try to have a relaxing meal together to, you know, finish the week off and let Bruce decompress after a busy week at work. So yeah, I'm not sure how much time I'll have, but what I was thinking was, this has been a very long convoluted story to tell you, that my gathering acorns, I thought it would be quite a good one to use for when I'm trying, or at least sitting in the stitching rooms, even if I'm just listening, because I'm not good at counting and, you know, trying to focus on two things. I'm way too old in the tooth for that. So I thought it might be quite handy to keep for that, for filling. So yeah, that had been a thought that crossed my mind as I was doing all that outlining, just to do those sections. So yeah, that's my plans. Next month, November, I have got a fabulous new start. I've got a couple of new starts planned, but one really exciting one with Ellie from Stitching Bee, and there's going to be a few other people as well. We're going to be doing an Owl Forest embroidery stitch along, and Ellie and I are both starting oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it. Midnight Bumblebee? Noon Bumblebee? I can't remember the life. Isn't that awful? I can't remember the name of it. But it's a recent release, the wreath with thistles and bees buzzing around it. Is it Midnight Bumblebee? Noon Bumblebee? Bumblebee Noon. There we go, Bumblebee Noon. I knew I would get there eventually. Oh, that took work. So yeah, Ellie and I are both stitching it. Ellie is stitching it with the Owl Forest floss, which she has ordered from them. There's a group of people who are doing lots of different Owl Forest stitches who all went in together to order the flosses to try and spread the postage out because it's so expensive. I decided I didn't want to use the Owl Forest flosses. They're just a bit too variegated for me, a bit too in your face. So I have got some fancy flosses myself that I have chosen. They look okay sitting next to each other. I hope that they stitch up okay together, because you can never really tell with fancy flosses. How they look like on the skein does not necessarily reflect how they stitch, but I'm hoping that they will work. Still waiting for some fabric to arrive. I haven't decided what I'm going to stitch it on yet, what colour. So that'll be an adventure. But yes, we're starting that next month. I haven't got a hashtag or anything sorted out yet, but if you fancy joining us for an Owl Forest embroidery, relaxed stitch along, start along type thing, please join us. Say hello. Let me know down below if you fancy it. There's some amazing Owl Forest charts, and as I said a little while ago, there's some amazing free ones. There's enough to keep you going in the free ones for a long time before you start paying for them. And even if you do, I downloaded mine as a PDF. It's such a good price. You know, they are fabulous charts. There's lots there. So if you fancy it, you know where to find us. So yeah, next month, when the chart had first come out, and Ellie and I both squeed about it, being quite excited, and yes, have to do that. That was back in July time, I think it was, and I'd suggested doing a November start for St Andrew's Day. You know, the thistles. St Andrew's Day is the 30th of November. Not going to wait till the 30th to start it, but I kind of decided when we said yes, okay, November. I decided at that point that November is going to be my Scottish stitchy month. So I've got another 1 or 2 thistle type themed stitches that I want to start. So yeah, that's next month. And the other thing, which I will talk to you more about in a couple of minutes when I'm going through the people who razzled my berries this month, is I am debating, I need to man up and do it, taking part in the Big Girl Pants Challenge, which I will talk to you about in a few minutes. I have a couple of things I could do for it, and I need to pull up my bigger pants and do it. So yeah, that's the plans. Anything else? Oh, last time I was here, when we were talking about plans, I'd said that I had been tempted with some of the Lola Crow What the Cat Saw designs, and then I'd been a bit leery when I'd heard just how much stitching and back stitching is in them. Lola Crow had a sole, so I felt morally obliged. I showed them to Ailey and I showed them to Bruce, the 6 of them. So in the end, I bought 4. And I got a little Nessie one for Ailey to do as well. She's fancying stitching on black, and it's Nessie, Loch Ness, Ucker Castle in the night. So I got her that to have a little black stitch, or stitch on black fabric. So yeah, so I caved and I bought 4 of them. No idea what decade I'm going to start them in. It's not looking like it's going to be this decade, but they're there. They're not doing any harm to anybody sitting nestled away in the files on my tablet. So yeah, I think that's all my plans and all my kind of leathery things. So let's crack on with the people who have razzled my berries in the last couple of weeks since I was last here. People on Flosstube that have made me happy for lots and lots of different reasons. And I've got a few different ones for you today. So the first one I want to mention is Julie, Peachy Stitcher. Julie was one of the first floss tubers I ever watched way back in the day. She's a Brit, she's a Yorkshire lass, and she's a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator as well, so we kind of had that papercraft thing in common as well. And I really enjoyed watching her and getting to know each other, you know, chatting on Instagram, that kind of thing. Julie has had a break from Flosstube for almost exactly a year, which, how can it be a year? It's like gone, just like that. But she has come back yesterday with her first Flosstube, and I'm so excited. And I would encourage every single one of you to go and watch it. She's a lovely lass. She's been through it all health-wise. For various reasons. She donated one of her kidneys to her husband about 18 months ago, which is just a phenomenal thing to do. He'd been a long time sufferer of kidney disease, so she gave him a kidney, and he's doing great, which is fabulous. What an amazing gift. And she was doing really well as well after the op, but she's now starting to have some problems that they think might be related, and she's got other health stuff going on, and being a woman of a certain age does not help. It does not come alone. It brings lots of gifts which are not necessarily gifts that we would want. So yeah, so she's had her up and down a few months, but she's come back. We were chatting yesterday morning on Instagram messages, and she said that, well, I'm going to film another one today, that she'd been watching me, and I'd kind of, for some reason, I'd given her a boost. I'd kind of cheered her up in some way, probably because I babble inanely and I make anybody else look intelligent in comparison. So she did. She went off and she filmed. She dug all her stuff out, and seeing it again. I mean, she's been stitching in the meantime. She's just not been filming, and she's not been stitching anywhere near as much as she was before. It kind of reignited, you know, she was looking at all these projects and realising that she was further on than she'd thought and how lovely they looked. She's kind of re-energised towards it a little bit now. She's got several full coverage kind of New York themed ones, Letty Stitch kits in particular, that are fabulous, but she does all sorts of things. She's now discovered Cottage Needleworks, brave for it, and has got a couple of theirs on the go and enjoying those. Because she's been doing full coverage, a lot of her stitching has been on Ada. She's now looking at even weaves, finding her eyes are dealing with it more than she thought that they would, which is always a nice positive feeling. So yes, she's got some lovely stitching, and she's just such a lovely person, and I would be very grateful if you would go and give her the wonderful Flosstube community love and support that we know is just part of this community. I've had it shown to me many times, and it's just the most wonderful, uplifting community for that. So please go show Julie some love. She's a multi-crafter. As I said, she's a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. She does lots of paper craft. She does all sorts of things. She has her own business. She opened up a studio. She had a studio before, and then lockdown happened. But she's opened up the Paper Haven. It's in, I think Idle is the name of the village, near Bradford in Yorkshire. So if you're anywhere near, please go and visit her, because if I was local, she wouldn't be getting any peace. She does papercraft classes. She does ceramic painting, wreath making, that arm knitting, you know, where the massive big yarn, and yeah. She's had workshops for all these things. She does a lot of children's workshops as well. She does regular like card making classes and sessions. She has stitchy days. I like the idea of her stitchy days, because one of her friends who has a shop across the road from her is a tea room, and they do like scones, and you can get your lunch from there, and it sounds very civilized. So yeah, she opened that in July, and it seems to be doing great guns. it's looking fabulous. So that is my friend Julie, the Peachy Stitcher. I shall link her down below. She's a lovely chirpy soul, with of course a wonderful Yorkshire accent. So yeah, go find her. So the next person I want to talk to you about is, oh, and speaking of Julie, please ignore everything she says in her video about me. She's far too nice about me and I don't deserve it. And yeah, I need to send her a big check, but I just haven't got enough in my bank account. So just ignore what she says about me. She's awesome on her own. She doesn't need me fighting her corner, but she's awesome. So yeah, so the next person is Mandy from Mandy Mead Stitches. I'm so excited to have found Mandy's channel. It's new to me. I watched her 12th Flosstube, though having looked on her channel, I think it's the 12th of like a reboot. Looks like she started Flosstubing about 5 years ago. I did that for 2-3 years and has then had a break and come back to it in the last kind of year or so. I like doing monthly floss tubes. She's absolutely fabulous. I looked at all the thumbnails of her previous videos and I'm like, oh yeah, she stitches my kind of stuff. I'm so excited to try and find the time and go through her back history of videos. Because if that's the things that she's showing on her thumbnails, what else has she got in her videos? I think she could be a complete enabler. Lots and lots of my style things. So yeah, in her video that I watched, she shares some fabulous finishes. There's some brilliant Laurie Holt ones. I mean, those projects are big projects, they're BAPs. And she's got several that she shares with us, and lots of other lovely stitching as well. Mandy is just kind of at the end of her breast cancer journey, and I'm so glad she's at the end of her journey. I know a couple of people who are suffering from breast cancer just now. It's not fun. It's a fight. And it's not a pleasant experience, so it's good that she's at the other end of it. But she talks about how, she would do a lot of stitching when she was waiting for her surgery or, trying to recover from treatments and that kind of thing. And she's got a huge amount of stitching done in that time. So lots and lots and lots to show us. And as I said, kind of lots of stuff historically that I'm very excited to go back and find. But these beautiful big Laurie Holt stitches, she's got the patchwork witch, the scarecrow, I can't remember what other, but there were several, and they really did razzle my berries. So I'm delighted to have found Mandy's channel. Next one I want to mention to you is Barbara, Seashore Stitcher. I have mentioned her here before. Wanted to give her a shout out this time because she's just put together a floss tube talking about lots of free charts. Fabulous resources from all sorts of designers and kind of websites and that kind of thing. Some really good stuff in there. She shows you how to find them. It's ones, I mean, I know there's free charts out there. I've used lots of free charts. My Little Owl was a free chart. But this is ones that I had no idea existed. And it was brilliant. So there are free charts there for every reason, every season. Definitely worth checking out Barbara's video for that to get some new ideas for where to go for some free charts. Who else have we got here? Jess, Thready for Stitching. This is another new account with her first floss tube. And it's lovely. She's done a whip parade. She has mostly full coverage, but not all. I fell head over heels for one of her full coverage. It's a Haid, I can't remember the name of it, but it's two black cats. One of them's got a little white bib. Two black cats sitting in a field of tulips. Just this riot of colour of these tulips, and there's your normal tulips and there's parrot tulips, and it's just really vibrant and it's beautiful. And if you've been here before, you know that I've got a real soft spot for black cats. Cats in general, but black cats. I really love a black cat. And tulips happen to be my favourite flowers. So I just loved that stitch. If I was a braver woman and felt like giving a full coverage a go, certainly, you know, on that size, it's a head mini. There's nothing mini about it. I know it's not the, you know, bed cover size full coverage that you get there. It's mini compared to that, but it's anything but mini. But I would never have the courage to start something like that. Certainly not at this stage in my life, or my kind of stitchy life. I've got enough jars to keep me going for a few hundred years as it is without taking something like that on. But I could very, very, very much appreciate it on her channel. And I did. I thought it was wonderful. And another one that she had, what I thought was lovely, was a modern folk embroidery, 4 Seasons. I think, has it been a previous stitch along a few years ago, possibly? But she's doing the border in one colour and then each of the 4 seasons in a different colour. And I just thought it was wonderful. It jumped out at me. I really, really liked it. So that was Jess from Thready for Stitching. What else have we got for you? Amber Noel Stitches. I watched her first Flosstube a couple of weeks ago, and she's now just posted her 3rd, so she must be, you know, doing weekly videos. Although I haven't had a chance to watch that yet. It's on my to be watched list. Amber works at the Silver Needle in Tulsa, so she's surrounded by cross stitch yumminess and temptation all the time, and it reflects in her floss tube. Yeah, there's the potential for a real enabler there. Her first video, she has a bookcase behind her with lots of finishes behind her, and then 2 and 3, she's in front of different bookcases, 2 bookcases, one on each side, covered in finishes. So lots there to catch your eye. And she should be talking about her works in progress and showing some finishes and fully finishes and that kind of thing. In fact, the thing that really jumped out at me, it kind of made me think, oh, I need to think about that more. She was talking about, she'd finished the Primrose Cottage Halloween Quaker, and she was talking to a colleague at work who does a lot of finishing, about how she was going to finish it. It was going to be a flat fold, and she was talking about what she was going to do for the flat fold and all these plans. And her colleague had just said, when it comes to finishing, less is more. And I'm like, that's really quite wise, but it's so not me. You've seen my finishing. Yeah, I'm not really in the less camp. I'm like, oh, what else can I throw at this? But that just really stood out with me, and it did with her, because she was telling us the story about it. So yeah, she's got all sorts of different styles. That first video, she shares a lot of Primrose Cottage. You know me, I like a Primrose Cottage. There's lots and lots of us out there who love a Primrose Cottage. She also loves doing the Shepherd's Bush, the stitched bags. So shows some of those as well. And I really liked, she's got the Mill Hill, the Celtic Santa. She's been stitching that for, was it her son and his girlfriend, wife? I can't really remember, I'm terribly sorry. Although it's the Celtic Santa, not the Celtic Santa. Celtic's a football team. And he's really, really cute. And I'm like, quite like him. Might be tempted to do him. You know, he's quite topical for us, and he would look pretty awesome on the Christmas tree. And then I'm doing a Mill Hill kit, and I've done a couple of projects on pierced paper, perforated paper this last couple of weeks, and I'm like, oh, it's so slow, and all those beads. So I'm not going to do it immediately, but I may come back to it. It's very cute. So that's Amber from Amber Noel. And the last Flosstube channel I want to talk to you about, I kind of mentioned briefly earlier, I was talking about the Big Girl Pants Challenge. And that's something that's being Set up by Carol and Jennifer, Two Tall Stitchers. Hello, Two Tall Stitchers from One Short Stitcher. It starts 20th of October, which is Monday. So only a few days from now. And it's basically, it's the Big Girl Pants Challenge. Something they'd kind of touched upon in their previous video. And it's now kind of grown arms and legs, as these things tend to do. So it's a challenge where basically you do something that you need to put your big girl pants on for. So you tackle a job that you've kind of been putting off because you're frightened you mess it up. It just seems too big or overwhelming a task. You're not quite sure where to start. All of those things that, you know, we've all got them. It doesn't have to be cross stitch. It can be quilting, knitting, crocheting, whatever. It can be finishing something off, fully finishing it, picking something out of the naughty corner basket where something's gone wrong and it's been put in time out in the naughty corner because you don't quite know how to resurrect it. It's the, I'm going to pull on my big girl pants and I'm going to do that. It's that kind of thing. You know, those projects that are languishing because there's just something about them that's putting us off just getting on with it because we need to wear our big girl pants. So I have a couple of things where in theory I could work on for the Big Girl Pants Challenge. And to find out more about it, go to see Carol and Jennifer's Flosstube. I'll link it below, Two Tall Stitchers. I thought Autumn in the City, the Crocette GoGo I spoke about last time, about how I've got a real mental block about it. I don't think it helps that it's on a scroll frame. I don't want to work on it. There's just something about it that I have just got a block about it, and I've got 6 of those Something in the City charts I need to work on, and I'm so excited to have them up on my wall. You know, I'm seeing lots of the autumn one around lately, the Halloween one, of course, because you know it's that time of year. Yeah, I'd like those done. I love them, and there's just something put me off this one. So that could be one of the things I need to pull my big girl pants up to wedgie level and get on with. And the other thing that I considered was I have got several stitches that I have just been avoiding finishing. I've got the Christmas rolls, I've got autumn rolls, and I've got a Halloween banner, would you call it? I'm not sure. They're all going to be made into like hanging things. And you know me, I have a love-hate relationship with my sewing machine. I was trying to edge fabric a couple of days ago and we had a big falling out again. It's like a toddler. Honestly, it's so temperamental. And it just throws a strop in and then it's like, no, I don't want to play. So I've been avoiding these because not only do I not get on with my sewing machine, I don't really know what I'm doing. I've got an idea how I would like them to look when they're finished, but I have not got the experience or the skills to necessarily get me past the finishing post. So I've been putting them off, and that autumn rolls could have been hung up. The Halloween parade, I think it's called, Clouds Factory. It could have been hung up by now for Halloween decor, and instead they're sitting on, you know, they're clipped on a coat hanger hanging in a wardrobe. Safe, but hidden. So potentially the 2 of those I could do for that challenge. Whether I do get the opportunity to pull those big girl pants up, I don't know. But I certainly thought it was a challenge that was worth sharing with all of you guys because it's such a brilliant idea. Such a brilliant idea. And if you don't watch Two Tall Stitchers, absolutely go and watch their channel. There's lots of cross stitch from, it's a mother and daughter team, from both of them. The cross stitch, they both quilt, they, you know, knitting, all sorts of things. They're good at what they do, and definitely worth watching. Jennifer is actually stitching Gathering Acorns. She's pretty far along. She's finished the squirrel and the basket. So I've liked watching her progress on that. And her mum, Carol, is trying to convince her that she should try and make it into a stand-up. And I thought, oh, that's exciting. I like that idea. For all of us who are doing the Gathering Acorns stitch along, that are all looking at doing it in different ways, I haven't heard anything about a stand-up yet. Ooh, that's quite exciting. So yeah. So those are the Flosstube accounts that have razzled my berries in the last couple of weeks since you last saw me. I do have one other to mention to you, and it's an Instagram account. Now, I'm not normally one for shouting at Instagrams. Firstly, because I'm not on Insta all that often. I'm really, really bad at remembering to go on it. And even worse at remembering to post things. I do go on. And also because there's so many fabulous people on there, you know, you couldn't. But this is one that I really wanted to shout out. My pal Karen sent me a tutorial by this lady. It's Heather McLean 4. And I was just blown away by it. Absolutely blown away. It was about mounting a cross stitch onto a shaped board so that it followed the shape. And it was brilliant. Really well explained, and you know, she went through the whole process with you, showing us as she went, that kind of thing. And I'd looked at her account, and she has lots and lots of different tutorials on Instagram, not here in Flosstube, on Instagram, as well as stunning stitching. So I hit follow straight away. I did notice that she was followed by lots of people I follow. So, you know, lots and lots of people know about this marvellous stitcher and finisher. But just in case you didn't, I just wanted to mention it here. And because she was new to me, I hadn't come across her. So that's Heather McLean 4. Definitely worth it. Check it. So that's all the people who have razzled my berries that I've got to tell you about. So yeah, that just leaves us with our Scottish word of the day. And today's word is hoolie. Because we're going to a wedding tomorrow. The three of us are going to a family wedding, which we're very excited about. The bride, her granddad and my dad were best buddies. And then her mum and I, there's only a couple of years in this age, so we were pals growing up as well. And then the girls are the same age. So, you know, she was in Ailey's year at school, that kind of thing. So there's 3 generations there. And sadly, both the grandpas have gone now. Although they'll be there, I'm sure they will. So yeah, so we're family. We're going along and looking forward to celebrating a couple who they've absolutely found their person. You spend 30 seconds in their company and it's just so obvious. This two, you know, they might only be 24, 25, but they're just made for each other. So we're going to this wedding, and there's nothing quite like a Scottish wedding. I have to say, I wish I wasn't feeling quite so deathly, but I will do my best to enjoy it, because a Scottish wedding is something to behold. The wedding is a wedding like any other, and then we'll have a lovely meal, and then in the evening we will have a hoolie. It's a party. It's a very lively party or gathering. It's more of a raucous celebration than a genteel one. It's where people let their hair down and get laldy. More often than not, there's a Scottish kind of cultural or musical element, like a ceilidh, which is what's going to be happening tomorrow night. They've got a live band that'll play ceilidh music and other more modern stuff in there as well. But there's nothing like a Scottish wedding dance. It's a 1 o'clock wedding, followed immediately by cocktail hour and canopies as they go and get their photos taken. So chances are by the time we sit down for our meal about 4 o'clock, several people will probably already be quite well oiled. So by the time the dancing begins, everybody will just throw themselves into it. And if you can imagine all these men in kilts, Bruce has got his kilt ready to wear. I will try and remember to post a photo at some point. he looks fabulous in a kilt. He just looks lovely. But yeah, all these different men in kilts with the Scottish country dancing and the live music and a hoolie, like, yeah. A hoolie is that kind of party where your ears ring for days and your feet are stooning because you've been dancing. Lots and lots of Kaylee dancing. Ailey's so excited to do Kaylee dancing. How she's going to do it in her heels, I have no idea. Although she might do like I am. I'm taking my trainers with me to wear in the evening. Yeah, at some point in the evening there will probably be a Strip the Willow where people will just, there'll be bodies flying around the room because it just gets out of hand. And that's, a hoolie is an epic party. So that seems appropriate for our Scottish word of the day today, hoolie. It does also have another meaning, and it can be like a really, really strong wind. It's blowing a hoolie outside. Quite often if it's really windy and snowing at the same time, that's really blowing a hoolie. But for now we will celebrate it as a wonderful wedding reception for a wonderful couple that we're very, very excited to share their day with. The wedding itself is taking place near Loch Ness. It's not on the loch, but in a lovely country house just kind of away from the loch in beautiful grounds. So we had beautiful sunny weather today. I hope they get that tomorrow because their photos will just be stunning. Gorgeous backdrop for it, especially at this time of year. So yeah, all excited about that. I might not have a voice by kind of like the time we're sitting down for a meal, and I might just want to go and crawl into the car and sleep. I am the duty driver. Ailey and Bruce have both taken Friday off work. Thursday wedding, taking the Friday off work, because it's going to be a hoolie. And you might need an extra day to recover. You don't want to be going to work the day after a hoolie. So yeah, that's it. I will come back to you in a couple of weeks. I'm trying to think, it'll probably be into the start of the week after, when the start of the month. The 1st of November is a Saturday, so it'll probably be into Monday, Tuesday before I get back to you. So I'm hoping to have a fair bit more stitching done for you before then. I've got another couple, 2-3 starts, Halloween ones I want to do. In fact, no, I've got more than that. I'm telling you lies. I've got possibly 4, and I've got some Halloween smalls I maybe do some work on. Again, they're small, but possibly not quick stitches, only because I've got some of that purple fabric kicking around and it just seems rude. So I figured out I can get 4 smalls out of it with reasonably small margins, with a view to maybe making some cushion finishes. That's something else I could do for big girl pants. I have got a whole load of pillow finishes sitting there that I've been putting off doing. Sewing machine. Oh, if anybody knows somebody who can come and exercise a sewing machine. I don't know of any priests that exercise sewing machines, but my one is potentially possessed. Like I say, it goes between being a toddler and a teenager and a menopausal woman. Not a good combination. So yeah, but I'm hoping, I'm waffling on now. I'm hoping I will have a fair bit more stitching to show you when we next meet. So until then, if you've liked any of my inane wobbling and waffling, I have to say my head is so disconnected from the rest of me. I can't really remember what I've been talking about. No, just there's just a disconnect there. I possibly shouldn't have been filming when I was feeling quite so rough and a bit discombobulated. But if it didn't happen today, it wasn't going to happen for several more days. And given that this thing's been lurking for about 4 weeks, I'm not anticipating it lifting quickly, especially not after tomorrow. That could be a few days worth of recovery, even if I'm not drinking. But yeah, if you've liked any of the things I have said or shown, please feel free to like this video. It helps me share my channel. And as I said, subscribe if you would like to. It's not compulsory. I'm not putting any pressure on you to do it at all. But if you want to come back and chat with me again, I'd love to have you back. In the meantime, I hope that life treats you well. I hope that life treats the ones you love well as well, because that makes us happy too. It always makes us feel good when the people we love are happy. But yeah, try and find time to find the joy in the little moments in life, be it the colours of the trees, all those little things, and make time to stitch. It's good for your mental health and it's good for your soul. So yeah, always prioritise stitchy time. But really, take good care of yourself. Look after your physical health, your mental health, all those things. The world's a tough place at the moment. It's not easy just getting through everyday life sometimes with what's happening in the world. And of course the days, for most of us, not all of us, but for most of us, the days are getting shorter. The darker nights are coming in, the darker mornings, the cooler temperatures, all those things that can have an effect on us. So work hard to maintain your well-being, because you're worth it, you deserve it. And I will hopefully see you in a couple of weeks with lots of stitching. And I hope that you will have lots of stitching done by then too. Take care now. Bye bye.